I'd think twice, I would, about flying in a Boeing. They've had some problems, you could say. Back in 2019, a plane crashed into the sea and killed 157 people. Then there was another crash. And then there's been a lot of near misses, as well as, panels flying off, metal fatigue, the use of the wrong nuts and the wrong bolts, all sorts of issues in the Boeing aircraft, which should really make us all very, very concerned, let alone the software, MCAS, that's used in the Boeing 737. But why is there a 737? What's different about the 737? Well, let me explain to you one thing, all right? You've got Airbus with their A320s, and you got the 737s, the Boeing. Now, both those aircraft were very popular. They had a fantastic safety record. Unfortunately for Boeing, well, trying to keep up with Airbus, they made some fatal mistakes. And a whistleblower, Mr. Pierson, who made it quite clear that he was very concerned about these fatal mistakes, was just told when he said that, well, if it was the military, these planes would have been grounded. Okay. Well, they responded by saying, well, the RAF, not the RAF, your Air Force, is not a profit-making organisation. Well, it just tells us all they care about is the money, honey, you know? It's corporation greed, isn't it? Now, for me, as a businessman, I would say, well, if you look after the customers, they reward you. You don't bloody well kill them, do you? For a start, you don't get no rebookings that way, do you? No. People are avoiding the Boeings. But it goes deeper than that. There's a massive cover-up going on here, and the government is complicit. Massively complicit. Donald Trump, the US President Dum-Dum, Pam Bondi, the FAA, all complicit. Now, to be fair with the FAA, they probably ain't got a lot of choice since their funding has been cut. Now, Donald Trump, he pretty much told us during the COVID that if you don't record the infections, the cases of COVID, well, they don't go up then, do they? Now, he's using the same ethos with Boeing, and he wants Boeing to survive all this. I suppose we all do, but we want to do it ethically. We want them to be an ethical company, because people's lives are at stake. Now, Ryanair is literally just, well, they're buying 300 of these flipping 737 Maxes. They are the 10, so they are improved, but are they? I'll explain in this video. But 300 by, I think it's by 2040 or something. It's a lot of planes, you know. A lot of planes that basically are only in the air because of the software that prevents them from, stalling. Let me explain. Right, you got the Boeing, all right. You got the Boeing 737, and you got the A320 Airbus. Now the Airbus come up with this fantastic idea that we're going to put bigger engines on the A320, for which they did. They put bigger engines on the A320, and they found it saved fuel, which made it more economical. So they used less fuel, better for the environment, a better all-round plane. And they were selling like hotcakes, they were. Doing very well indeed. So Boeing thought, hang on, we're not having any of this. We're going to put the same engines on our planes. But you see, there's a massive difference in the airframe. Now, there's my demonstration Boeing. You can tell it's a Boeing because it's got no cockpit bits flown off there. It's also got the top, the fuselage has been cut out and it's flown off. Because obviously it's falling to pieces. Well, no, actually I'll cut it about because I'm making it to the... I'm going to make it ready control. This is one of them little planes. It's really cheap for $5. Anyway. Now, the Airbus has a much taller undercarriage. Yeah? So there's room for the bigger engines underneath. So it was successful. It worked. The Boeing is much lower to the ground. The undercarriage is shorter, effectively. Okay, so that caused some problems going the engines. That's too close to the runway. I mean, virtually dragging on the ground they are. They can't have that because you get the flex in the wing and on landings and stuff. There's a lot, there's a lot going on, isn't there? So what do? They decided, the brainwave they did, we're going to mount the engines up in front of the wing, about there, right? So they're up in front of the wing. But what happened is, by doing that and not changing the geometry of the plane, they changed the thrust line. Now, anyone who flies model aeroplanes or makes model aeroplanes will know the thrust line is quite important, you see. It's the make or break whether you're going to stall. If you don't get the thrust line in the right place, you're going to have problems. Right, now, they did have problems. And the problem was that whenever the pilot decided to put more, or to gain more altitude, he'd put more power to the engines were kind of more power, but they found it lifted the nose too much. So what's the solution to that? I know, we'll use software to tell the elevators to go down a little bit, to push the nose down, right, to counteract the actual the stall. So we don't actually get a stall. You know what a stall is when the plane comes out, it loses speed, it gains height. Like so, there's not enough speed for the plane to gain any height. The nose will suddenly drop and you're going to a dive. You don't want to do that close to the ground, do you, after takeoff? No. And that's when obviously you're using the most power as at takeoff. It was a problem. Now, like, one flight, that flight came out of Chicago, about 12 minutes later it crashed. And it was because of the software. Now, this is old news. We know this. The software had an issue. Sensor issues and all sorts of stuff. Now, what they found is it was overcompensating, so they couldn't gain any height. So all it was doing, they're losing height all the time, because every time they try to go up, the nose want to go down again. And the MCAS system, the software used, they didn't know what to do about it. There was no information, they had no updates, no one was taught about these upgrades in the software. They knew about the software, but not about the upgrade to bring the nose down. And the problem is that, without knowing what it is, how do you disable it? So you can just fly on the stick, Anyway, they crashed, and 157 people died. There were some sensor issues as well regarding they didn't know how close the land was. The plane didn't. Anyway, it was a mess, and they've had all sorts of issues with it. Eventually, some of the planes got grounded. Eventually, not straight away. Eventually, after the second accident, which is absolutely disgusting. But when I hear from, for instance, Mr. Pierson, who was working for Boeing, the whistleblower. And he thought it was a brilliant company, what have you, and then there was this. And it seemed like one situation after another. And they didn't. It's like they didn't want anyone to know. It was a cover-up, okay? Now, normally the FAA would get involved. There'd be investigations and stuff like that. But nothing's happening now by the FAA. You see, the FAA can't even put enough people in the control towers. They haven't got the people to do the investigation since Donald Trump and his feckin' Doge has cut their funding. They haven't got the people. In fact, they've been sacking people left, right and centre. All the DEI, what have you, got sacked. Why can't somebody who's in a wheelchair because they lost their legs because they've gone to war, why the hell can't they sit in front of a bloody screen and... Oh, it's so disgusting. I've got a disabled son. I know what it's like. In front of a screen, and so when they pull the blips, of course I can do that bloody job as well as anybody else who's got a pair of legs. This is going back to 1937 with Hitler when you start getting rid of all the disabled people before you turned on the Jews. This is where you are. They are literally systematically just trying to get rid of you if you're not rich. If you're not rich and white, white with blue eyes and stuff, I don't know, Aryan man or whatever, that's what it feels like to me. And women are just there for their birthing, they're just mothers. They've got womanly hips and all that. That's all they're there for. It's an absolute dumpster fire, and quite frankly, considering that they were actually getting parts for the Boeings out of the dumpsters because they were running out of components. They had so many issues in Boeing. Money issues, supply chain issues during, obviously, the pandemic that caused massive problems to these companies. But when you've got the likes of Pam Bondi dropping cases, Department of Justice and all that, Department of No Justice. You've got people, Pam Bondi, and they're dropping the cases, the criminal cases against Boeing because of this cover-up. It's criminal. This is corporation greed, putting people's lives at risk. It's manslaughter. They're locking people up in foreign prisons, gulags, because they're just there and they've got the wrong coloured skin. And they're undocumented. Being undocumented does not make you an illegal. It's not illegal to be undocumented in the United States. It's not. It's a fallacy. Anyway. So, with all this complete cover-up, disgusting cover-up. So there's going to be no legal cases. They're trying to bribe, basically, the families of the 157 people who died. And they're still selling the 737 MAXs. Slight upgrades, tweaks to the software. Still the same plane, just tweaked the software. To me, it's absolute madness when you put money in front of people's lives. The only time you do that is when you build missiles and things that kill people. But taking lives. So there's no justice. There's going to be no justice for those families of all those people that died, whether it be the 157 or the next one or the next one or the next one. This is what's happened in the United States. And it's a form, the way I see it, everything that's going on at the moment, it's like a form of genocide. Getting rid of people who have limited means. It's all part of the parcel. It's all, spokes in the wheel, heading towards their 2025 objectives. Project 2025 objectives. Apologise. It's disgusting. And when I see people like, the whistleblower Pierson, he's really emotional about this because he felt he especially when there was the second crash and more people died, he just felt that he could have done more. So when I'm reading about this stuff online and I watch, the clips of them and stuff like that, I can't remember what NBC or something, MSNBC. Anyway, when he's been interviewed, and I just find it's unbelievable. You see, when you've got all these Boeings and what have you, the 737 MAXs being rejected by China, they get flooded onto the market. Just more of them. And when I also see companies like Ryanair choosing them because they're available at a cut price, it's all about the feckin' profit, about the feckin' money. Always is. When the money should be, a good profit should be the side effect of doing a good job. Really should. Anyway, what do you reckon? Please leave it in the comments down below. And if you want to support the channel, you can do it on Patreon or buy us a coffee. The links are down below. And I couldn't do the channel without your help. And please share my videos because I'm struggling to get views. And also, notifications are going out too late for a lot of my subscribers. In some cases, 2 days too late. And that, what good is news 2 days late? So, if you could, help us along with just sharing our videos, it'd be very much appreciated. Anyway, I think I might go on holiday, but not in a Boeing. I'm going to choose an Airbus, an A320 maybe. Toodaloo.